Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing a Betty Boop inspired makeup tutorial. A lot more wearable than her actual look though, or you could call it a doll inspired makeup look. So to start off with, we're going to be using this concealer, and this is the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Concealer. I wanted to use this as a foundation kind of base today just because it is so humid here at the moment, and we also have a thunder and lightning storm and a bit of rain, and nothing has been staying on my skin except for this. So if the lighting goes in and out, it's because of the thunderstorm outside. I'm just applying this all over the face as I would a foundation and going to buff it out now with a kabuki brush. I'm so excited to do this look. I've really been wanting to start getting into more character makeup because I haven't done much of that before, and one of my best friends, Tori, she really wanted a tutorial on this because she's going to use this as a party look. So it was the perfect opportunity. You can't really resist when you have that. And now we're just setting this with some powder, so I'm using the Mineralize Skinfinish Natural by MAC and the colour Light, and just mainly buffing that through the T-zone and a tiny bit on the cheeks. I've left my forehead bare just because my forehead is super dry at the moment when I apply powder, so just going to leave that for now. Next we're going to bronze up the face. As you can see, I'm so pale, I really need it. We're going to give a little bit more definition, even though Betty Boop doesn't. I wanted to have a little bit of colour on the cheeks, just like a doll kind of makeup would. So the colour that we're using for this is Give Me Sun, and it's another Mineralize Skinfinish, and they just go so perfectly on my skin. I would recommend these for most people because they're so amazing. They just go on really smoothly and they're so easy to buff out. Also, there's not really a colour that doesn't suit skin colouring. Like, you can see how pale I am. I am a pale kid, and usually things go really orange on me, but this one was perfect. And now we're going to be taking this Undress Your Skin highlight by MUA, and this is quite a pinky highlight depending on what you like in a highlight powder, but it's so nice and shimmery. I thought it would be perfect to give a little bit of glowiness to the skin for this look. We're just applying that on the cheekbones and just above the eyebrows. Next we're going to move on to the eyes. So first off, we're going to be using this Painterly Paint Pot by MAC. You guys would know that this is my ultimate favourite base to use just because it works so well on the eyes and you get amazing colour payoff, which you'll see in a minute with this palette. So we're going to be using the ChiChi Nudes palette, and we're just taking this light to medium brown to buff through the crease. I know that Betty Boop in her makeup look, she doesn't have anything on the eyes, but we do want a little bit of definition. As you can see when she does close her eyes or wink, which she does a lot, you can see that there's a slight definition through the socket of her eye. So we're just buffing that with a nice big fluffy brush to make sure that it's a little bit more warm tone through there. Next we're going to be taking this kind of charcoal black colour, and we're going to be applying that really tightly against the lash line. So just on the top there, I've used a kind of square flat brush, and we're just buffing that along and bringing that backwards and forwards. But you don't have to be extremely tidy with this because we are going to use a little mini shader brush and buff out the edges so it's really smooth and soft on the edges. It's not going to be a harsh line like how you would apply eyeliner usually. I'm so in love with this hair look. I had to get my mum to help me just because she's a hairdresser. So handy. But what I've done for the hair, in case you guys wanted to recreate the hair look as well, so it's not as pointy and spiky as Betty Boop's hair, is I've just curled all the ends of my hair and then I've just pinned it up and bunched it just around the ears and right around the back to the other side. So it's so simple and easy to do. All you need is bobby pins, hairspray, and a curling tong. So as you can see now, this is where we're going to buff out those edges, make sure it's really nice and smooth. And obviously I'm trying to take my clothes off for you guys. Whoops! Now we're going to be using Maybelline the Colossal Volume Express Mascara, and we're just applying that on the top eyelashes because you will see what I mean when we do the eyes next. So So we're going to be taking this MUA white eyeliner, I think it's in the shade Snow White, and we're applying that in the waterline. Make sure that you bring it right into around the tear duct as well. And now you can see that I'm dragging it below the waterline, so on the bottom lower lash line, and I'm drowning my lashes in that white, like covering them so thickly. And I know it does look a little bit clumpy to start off with, but this is why I'm spooling it out now. So you can see that I'm using a normal spoolie brush, which is one that you can use from your eyebrow brushes, or if you have a spare one lying around at home, and we're just brushing through to remove those clumps. But what this has done now is it has covered them in white, so it's going to make your eyes look really, really large and doll-like, which is perfect. That is definitely what we want. Now I'm going to be using the number 107 Cherry Blossom lashes over my top eyelashes, and you can use normal lashes to cut up into pieces to apply for the bottom as I'm doing now, or you can use single lashes. So what I've used is single lashes, which are the boutique individual lashes in long. We really want the lashes to stand out on the bottom lower lash line, so that's why I'm using long. So now all I'm doing is I'm applying them with tweezers, which makes it so much easier, and you want to make sure that the raised circle part, so kind of like a hill, is facing upwards. So instead of applying single lashes like how you usually would on the top lashes, you want to apply them the opposite for the bottom lashes. And using a Q-tip to apply the glue will make it so much easier and dry lots quicker, making it more tacky and you don't have to wait a million years. Now we're doing the brows. So taking this MUA Pro Brow Kit, we're just going to be using the lighter shade to slightly apply through the brows. Even though Betty Boop has really, really dark black brows, to me that's not extremely wearable. I wanted this look to be quite a wearable look, so we're just going to be using this really dark brown from the palette. So as you've seen, I've applied the light brown slightly at the very, very fronts of the brows, just because you never want to go straight into the front of the brows with a really dark colour. That will look really unnatural most of the time, not always, but most of the time. And that's not what we want today. So we're just taking this darker brown now and applying it from where we applied the lighter colouring and also out to the very ends. Doesn't matter if you make them a little bit thick. I know that her brows are extremely thin, but this is a little secret that you can use to make your brows perfectly shaped. So now we're going to be applying this concealer again, which was the same concealer that we used at the start. I'm getting my words all mixed up now. We're going to be applying that underneath the brow, which is going to give a nice brow highlight as well, and it's also going to shape them how you want them to be shaped. You can do the exact same to the tops of the brows as well if you're needing to. Today I didn't think that I did, so I've just left them. And now we're doing the exact same for the lips. So to get doll lips, you need to make your lips not as long. As you can see, I'm kind of blocking out the colouring of my lips on the very corners, and you'll be able to see the shaping that I go with for doll lips. It's basically like, think of a heart, except not the pointy bit at the bottom. You're going to go with a heart kind of top and then round it off for the bottom of the heart. Now that we've blocked out the corners of the lips, I'm just using my finger to buff that out, making sure that it's really nice and soft. It's not going to leave like a clumpy looking concealer over the lips. Now we're taking this lip brush and we're going to be using the lipstick by NYX or NYX in the shade Eros. So it's a really nice, bright, intense red, and it's really moisturizing on the lips as well, which is perfect. So you can see the kind of shading that I was talking about before. The shape that we want is to have really small, pouty looking lips. So you can see now it's kind of like stage makeup, and I've only done about 2/3 of the lips, but in the center. So we're really rounding off that lip. We want it to be kind of like a half circle for the bottom lip. And now we're doing the top lip and we're going to make it really rounded as well, so it gives a really nice pouty full lip. And voila, you have the finished makeup look. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Have a great rest of your day and I'll see you next time. Bye!